Dr. Oz, GOP nominee for Senate in Pennsylvania. Good morning, Dr. Oz. Welcome back to the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Thanks for having me back, Hugh.
I've got to ask you this. The latest poll, the Emerson poll this morning, has John Fetterman at 44.6 and you at 42.6. That's statistically insignificant margin of error. I went back and looked at all the RCP polls. The direction is heavily in your favor. The tide is just flowing to Dr. Oz. What do your internal numbers show?
Similar. There is a significant momentum shift in our favor. I attribute it to our focus on issues that are really petrifying Pennsylvanians. The remarkable crime rate that we're experiencing around the Commonwealth, with Philadelphia having the highest homicide rate ever in its history. Yesterday, we had our 1,000th carjacking. Can you imagine? These numbers are shocking. We have the largest open-air drug den in the country in the center of Philadelphia, where Rocky used to run. So when you look at my opponent's perspectives on these issues, he's been on the wrong side of policy. He wants us to release 1/3 of all prisoners. He feels strongly about getting murderers who've been sentenced to life in prison out of jail, even over the objections of other Democrats in the parole board. He wants to legalize all drugs, have heroin injection sites, wants an open border so fentanyl can flow easily with cartel dollars funding it. These are the positions that have put him in a very awkward spot at a time in our history when we cannot afford to make these mistakes. And they're representative, I think, of many of the policies he's advocated for, which sounds great when you're speaking to the far left radical component of the Democratic Party on Twitter, right? 140-character policy doesn't work. It has to be more thoughtful. And I'm putting those ideas out there, and the people of Pennsylvania are resonating to them.
Dr. Oz, I want to talk specifically about inflation and crime. The other big ones are, of course, immigration, the education breakdown in China. But let's focus in on inflation. From Scranton to Pittsburgh, I'm talking to every Pennsylvania right now, and up in Erie, we all know what the cost of living has happened. How often is that the number one issue that comes up at a campaign stop? Because I know you're out there doing retail campaigning.
Oh, it's the number one issue, without question. And it's another place where I have an advantage because the Democratic Party has spent our children's money recklessly. Interestingly, my opponent, John Fetterman, has strongly criticized Biden for not spending enough money, for not going further enough towards his idol, Bernie Sanders. And interestingly, even though we've spent billions and trillions of dollars, haven't been able to fix the problems they claim to fix, but we have spent money and created inflation. He also thinks fracking is a stain on Pennsylvania and signed a document asking for a moratorium on drilling. And that's a death wish for this Commonwealth. We live on our energy. You can't manufacture in Pennsylvania without energy to make it affordable for the big factories and for the agricultural folks. They need it. We need it for plastics. You know, the reality is you have to have inflation brought under control. And to do that, you're going to have to allow us to use clean natural gas, which also helps our environment. My opponent doesn't want any of that. I argue I want an all-of-the-above policy. Give me all the energy sources, including green, so that we can keep our environment pristine, but also allow working-class taxpayers to make a living, feed their families, and live with the vitality they desire. Again, another topic which is really scaring people at the kitchen table. And I'll leave you with taxes as the idea that's become very prominent now because people are fearful. They have high tax rates already. Fetterman wanted to 50% increase in state taxes, but he also strongly supported the Biden tax increase. Yet he has not paid his own taxes 67 times. I'll say that again. He's had 67 liens on him for not paying his own taxes. So the hypocrisy there strikes Pennsylvanians, who are pretty straightforward, family value people, strikes us as completely out of touch, and it's hurting him.
Now, Dr. Oz, I got to ask you, you are a phenomenal success. People know you from television. Of course, your medical career, you're born in Ohio, so you had a head start over everybody. However, you're a new candidate, first time. I've listened, I've watched, you've hit your stride. What surprised you the most about learning how to campaign? It's a skill set. You had to pick it up. You had to learn it. What surprised you the most?
What surprised me the most was so much of it is fifth-grade antics. It's gossipy ideas thrown out there to distract the press from the real profound issues that you just mentioned. The economy, crime, the border, China, education. These are topics that are vital for us to address, and we're not going to get there by bickering about the stuff that is designed primarily to mudsling, because all that does is attract press attention, but it doesn't deal with the deeper challenges that I know we can address as a country. That's the kind of senator I want to be. And I told my opponent, go ahead and whine and complain about me and make ad hominem attacks, and that's what he does. But
candidates matter. Leader McConnell always says candidates matter. Candidates have to like people. They actually have to. I don't know that John Fetterman likes people. I feel sympathy for him. You're running into the sympathy headwind because he's clearly disabled, and it will be a long time till he recovers his complete cognitive abilities. But there's this sympathy value. At the same time, he's not very likable, even when he was healthy.
I hear that from folks who know him. And again, I've never met him, so I can't speak to that personally, but what I can speak to is me. And I love people. I'm passionate about people. The reason my TV show was a top health show in the world for 13 years is because people trust that what I'm telling them matters, that I'm doing my best to help them. And that's what they look for in a political leader. They know we're not going to agree on 100% of items. They want to know when they go to bed at night, they trust that I'll make the best decision for them and their family, and that I'll always work my tail off for them. That's what I've done my whole career in practicing medicine, on the show, now running for office. That's something that John Fetterman has not convinced them that he's done, because in many cases he hasn't done those things. Yeah. So I think I have an advantage.
You had an ad out, I don't know if you're still running it, during a town hall when the mother of a police officer who goes to work every day comes up. You put her, she's just upset because people are hating on the police on the Democratic Party side. That was extraordinarily effective. Are you running with that? Do you have the money and the resources to close the last 4 weeks?
We've gotten tremendous support from the national party. I put money in myself. The funding is coming nicely, but guys, we need to keep up with the Democratic Party. So if you have the opportunity, please go to droz.com. Try to send it whatever you can. The Democratic Party is raising money primarily from California and New York because they want the 51st seat. They actually don't know my opponent. If they did, they probably would pull back from what they're doing. But if I can spend even 70% of what he spends, we'll win, because as you pointed out, it takes a lot of money to sell something you don't have. They don't have a good candidate. We have a great candidate. I'll protect our nation.
Last question. You're a Penn guy, and I don't know how many years you spent there, whether it was 4, 7, 9. I don't know how long you spent in medical school there, but Penn is not exactly a red bubble. Are you going to campus at all to go deep into the heart of Democratic territory and try and win over marginal votes? Because that's how blowouts happen.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to talk to folks, and I'm talking to media that's in the middle as well, to make sure that folks appreciate the rational approaches I'm going to take. I was in Kensington, the biggest drug market in the country now, and I went there saying specifically, Republicans don't come here, and we should, because we love people, and these people are in trouble because they're on drugs, strung out. Democrats, however, don't come here because they're ashamed of what their policies have created. I care a lot about fixing problems. The Democrats stop short. They care about caring. And when I was down there, I had 4 addicts come up to me, recognizing me as a doctor, begging for help to get them into detox. That's what we should be doing as a Republican Party. My father, who was an immigrant to this country, grew up on a dirt floor, brought here legally because we wanted that kind of learned individual. He studied medicine. When we decided to be Republicans as a family, my dad said we were going to become Republicans because they have better ideas. Let's be the party of better ideas.
DrOz.com. Now, on Twitter, it's just DrOz, but his website, the campaign website, I believe, is all spelling out Dr. Oz. Am I right about that, Dr. Oz?
Thank you for saying that. Yes, DOCTOR, Oz.com. Lots of information about my positions, and please help us financially. Put us over the top.
Thank you, Dr. Oz. Keep coming back. Pennsylvania listens to the Hugh Hewitt Show, and I think they are getting, this momentum is undeniable. I was talking to Brett Baer about it last night.